Hello, everyone, and welcome to What to See with Val. And I am doing probably one of my most anticipated Sundance spotlights. And today we are talking with the producers of Mass. How are you guys doing?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this is your second year at Sundance, kind of talking about Mass, because last year you guys had a big year at the Sundance Film Festival. Can you share with us what your experience was like last year with this phenomenal movie?
Life-changing, it's just, unexpected. Our world premiere was actually a year ago today.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just looking on, Instagram stories and Facebook timeline and stuff, and getting all the reminders and messages. I was like, oh my God, that was a year today. Yeah, it was just such a special moment. I don't even have words for it. I mean, Dylan.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I would definitely want to hear what you have to say.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's so thrilling, and then just a year later, being able to get hyped about Sundance again, and just all the other filmmakers, and we ended up going out seeing, even though it was virtual again this year, we ended up going out just to see Park City since we didn't get to go last year because of virtual. So
right, yeah, last year was, of course, the first virtual year ever. And it was the year we got in. It was all very unique, and no one was used to it yet. So we booked a trip out to see the festival this year, just to be there and be around everyone and meet everyone in person. And then it went virtual again, but we're still going. So it was still nice, some small little house party screenings and little outdoor concerts and stuff. The Park City folks did it right, even though everything else went virtual.
Yeah, Park City is a fantastic place to be. I'm actually in Salt Lake City, and so I've spent many years up, sometimes sledging through the snow up and down Main Street, and sometimes there's no snow. It really just depends on the year here in Utah, what it decides to do. But I'm really glad you guys had a chance to actually get to Park City and get to experience some in-person Sundance, because there's something about that. I don't know, the energy of all the filmmakers and just so much creativity. And, you get to see your movie, but to chat with other like-minded people about movies is so much fun. That's why I appreciate your guys' time today. And I want to get into this movie Mass because, I'm a film critic. And so, I get films sent to me all the time. I think I probably screened 200 plus movies in 2021, and most of it happens between September and December where they it's for your consideration. And I got sent Mass because last year I did not participate in Sundance. I had some other things going on, and I'm watching these movies over and over, and I usually do it in my room so that I have no interference. And my husband comes in and he's just kind of going back and forth, and then he kind of stops and sits down, and he's like, what is going on? And I'm like, shh. Shh. And then he's going in and out, and he's like, well, wait, what happened then? I'm like, you're just gonna have to wait and go see this movie with me in the theater. I need to concentrate, because it is one of those movies that you just get enveloped from the first start. And what's interesting to me is that even 25 minutes into this film, you don't really know what's happening. You're guessing. You're trying to figure out what these characters are talking about. And I love that so much, because there's so much room to breathe and to have your own kind of conclusion about what's going on. What do you guys have to say about how this movie was made? Because it was very, very different than most feature films.
It all started with our writer director Fran Kranz. It was funny when we got the script, we were warned it was like, it's just gonna be in like one location, basically just one room, almost just one scene. It's
right.
Like you got like 75 minutes in the scene. So we knew that going in, and I think that's the excitement of it, to be able to sit in the room and just let everything unfold. And it comes naturally. You don't know what's going on. You're trying to piece because the dialogue is just so natural. All the characters know what's happening, and you can kind of like sort of pick up and read their emotions, read their faces to try to get clues. But it really does unfold very naturally, and I think such a testament to the script in that each little beat slowly unfolds, slowly brings you in more and more and more with all the details and all the emotion.
JP, what was it like to start producing a film and then you're throwing around names to get to be in a film, and you guys landed 4 just incredible actors? If you're going to have just 4 people sitting in a room together, I mean, this cast is amazing. Tell me a little bit about the process of getting your actors.
Yeah, we luckily had the best script in town. That's that's the luck part of it. What we did, when Reed Birney was always attached. Fran brought it to him first from back in their theater days, just as he brought it to it as a feature script, and then him and Reed were like, oh, maybe this could be a play. And then Fran was like, no, it has to be a movie. And then Fran sent me the script, and I went through it. I was just like, we have to shoot this immediately. And so we just had the best script in town, luckily, and $30,000 in the bank, and Reed Birney. So that's, that's not a huge package in Hollywood, but the script and Reed and Fran were enough to just champion just our whole cause and get into the biggest agencies, into the biggest actors in town. And we just got lucky. Jason and Fran met, years ago, just as a general meeting. So they knew each other. So it was, easier to get to him and say, oh, Fran's done with that script you guys were talking about years ago. And he's like, oh, what is this? So, we got it. And everyone just couldn't believe we were making the movie because of the topic and the content.
Yeah.
Even Jason Isaacs, we were just chatting last night. He's like, once I read the script, I was like, this movie is brilliant. It'll never get made. So that's his famous line. And I mean, he's right in a way, but we had to just keep pushing forward. And then, our casting directors just reached back out to Jason and Martha, and Anne was just a happy accident. She was our last piece of the puzzle. And, it was all because I was binge watching The Leftovers.
Yes, such a great show.
Yeah, I was late to The Leftovers game. I was binge watching it, and while we were in prep, and just spending my nights just checking out and just watching that and going into that world. And I just had this woman staring at me and smoking cigarettes and just like intensely just inceptioning me. And it was just one day we were just at lunch with Dylan and Fran, and I was just like, what about Ann Dowd? And we're like, yeah, let's send it to her. Let's have the casting people send it to her. And she was like in like less than 24 hours. Once she read it, her famous line is, how do you say no to this script? Right. And you can't. It's a perfect script. It's one of the best ones I've ever read. And, all the other scripts I read now have a lot to live up to. So.
Well, let's get into that. So you've got Reed Birney, like you said, Ann Dowd, who's amazing, Jason Isaacs, who I met for the first time at Sundance like 5 years ago. Just a super genuinely nice guy. Like it's really nice to meet people that you're like, I think you're a fantastic actor. You're really great at your craft. And then they're actually good humans as well. Yeah. And then Martha Plimpton, who, I mean, she just blew me away. I have always enjoyed her as an actress, but to me, she's like the Silent Bob of actresses. We don't get enough. But then when we do get her, it's like, amazing. And we're in this script, and basically you have 4 people. Jason and Martha play Jay and Gail, and they're a couple. They're married. And then we have Reed and Anna, who play Richard and Linda, who are a divorced couple. And at the beginning of the movie, there's so many things happening where we know there's going to be some kind of meeting, and we know that it needs to be intricately careful and safe, but we don't know why. There's so much time spent on what the room needs to feel like and look like and what's happening that I'm just like, what is going on? Like, they're so meticulous on what it needs to look like, feel like, be like. And then when they start talking about what they're talking about, you understand why it's so important, because and if you haven't seen the movie yet, this is your time to push pause on this interview, go watch the movie, and then come back, because we're going to jump in with some spoilers here. But this topic is so important. We have Jay and Gail's son and Richard and Linda's son are both involved in a shooting, a school shooting. And you're trying to figure out which son is on which side for a while, whose fault is what, and how the biggest thing that I got out of this is the forgiveness. And people just want to be heard, because when your child is gone, no matter how they're gone, it hurts as a parent, and it hurts a community when it happens in this way. So let's talk about this topic, and why Jason said it's great, but I don't think this is going to be made, because it's so real, it's so raw, and unfortunately, it's something that we have to talk about. My daughter is 20 years old, and she's a slam poet, and a lot of her poetry is about how she was born a month after 9/11, and then her whole life has been about how to deal with school shootings. I mean, that's the reality of our kids right now. So let's kind of jump into that. Who wants to jump into this first?
I guess I'll just say that, like, yeah, it's such a such an important topic and powerful, and that's actually how the script started. Was just Fran was so shaken by Parkland, and he had just become a father. So I think it's also that being a new father for him, and having to reckon with all these things going on in our world. And I think that's sadly such a driving force of the movie. Is how would you react? How would you come to terms with this? How would you heal with what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's, and the testament to Fran's script is, I mean, the backstory of him is he was just almost obsessed after Parkland. He became a dad to his little girl, and then Parkland happened, and he just like literally pulled over on the side of the road and was like listening to the radio, and he's like, this one's different, like, it's different when you're a parent. I'm not a parent yet, but I can't imagine the feeling of watching something like that on the news, especially if it's in your town or if someone. And now it happens so often that everyone is 6 degrees of separation from someone who's passed away or experienced this. It's like even Dylan's sister was at Virginia Tech in class across the campus. It's like it's just it's happening way too much, and Fran just became obsessed with it, but he became obsessed with like not the action of it, but the reconciliation of like what happens after. What exactly? Like we see this on the news every day sometimes when school is in session. I mean, at least weekly, and it's horrifying, and we get desensitized. But he was like, what's the aftermath? What happens to these people 6 years later, like when mass takes place? What's going on? Like, how are they picking up the pieces after losing their children? And then, the contrast between a set of parents that have lost their child, and a set of parents who child committed this crime. Yeah. And how they deal with it, and how these parents, some are like Linda's character. She was, a bit, oblivious to her son's actions and stuff like that, but she's not fully to blame. And she wasn't even allowed to, mourn her son. And she's sharing those moments, and you're like, oh my God, like, that's right. She's still a mom. Like her child did a criminal act and took lives and a horrible thing, but she's still, for the first 16 years, that kid's mom, and
Yeah.
can't remove that from herself. And the way Fran dug into all 4 characters, I mean, it just, he's been an actor all his life professionally for over 20 years. Like, you could tell that he was inside each one of their heads while writing, and just using that, the 4 years of research and writing the script was a therapeutic process. And that's what we focused on. We didn't show any gun violence like other movies and shock value. We just showed, what happens after. And I think that's why this film, rang so true to people and connected to people.
Yeah, I think the testament to the script and this screenplay is the fact that you could have 4 actors in a room, and that's really all we needed. And I love how he showed every side of it. He showed the side of, the parents who, their son was shot. They showed the side from the parents who, the son committed the crime, but also what that did to each of the parents. And you're right. Like, it doesn't matter whose son it was, each parent still lost a child, right? But, the child who committed the crime, they have to mourn not only their son, they're mourning the loss of their marriage, they're mourning the loss of being a part of their community, because now they, are considered, these bad parents in the community. So everything, they lost a lot, as much as the people who lost their son. But I love the controversy as well as getting into whose fault it is, right? Because we always need to blame someone, something. And when we get into what could the school have done? What could the parents have done? Why didn't we see this coming? And, that's often, again, like you said, what we talk about for a little while after the shooting. Is it gun laws? Is it mental health? Is it parenting? Is it the school? And getting into all those things, because, sometimes people don't want to talk about that stuff because they don't want to ruffle feathers, and they don't want to lose friends, and they don't want to get in trouble with colleagues, because it is a hard topic, but we're never going to find the solution unless we have the hard conversations. And this movie is such a great conversation starter. And again, we didn't, in a year full of action-packed, explosions, and you can see behind me, I'm a huge nerd, those kind of movies. And then you have this one movie where, again, it's one room, it's 4 people, and it is probably one of the most intense movies that I saw last year. Dylan, when you get the characters together, you get this great script, and then you're thinking, okay, how are we going to market this film? You know what I mean? Like, people need to see it. And it was, for a while, it was kind of this quiet, like, dark horse that snuck into people. And then people saw it, and it was like, they want to tell everyone. And then, it was kind of this explosion of whoever saw it needed to tell everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that really is it. It was so hard to market in that sense. We were always kind of like, okay, how do we market it? You don't want to sensationalize anything. You just want to keep it true to what the movie is. Just these 4 people having a very powerful and life-changing conversation. And I think it really was just kind of like pitching this intimate story that everyone can relate to. It's not just about the aftermath of the school shooting. It's how do you come together and heal over a shared trauma. And I think we've all been going through that, obviously. And I think once people see it, they do share it. They do go, this is what you have to see. You have to see this movie, because it is cathartic. It is all about and sharing it together, sharing those moments together, and just digging in deep.
Definitely. And now we're heading into award season. And I know a lot of filmmakers, this is not the kind of movie that you make thinking, I'm going to win awards. This is a movie that you make out of passion, because you have something that you care so much about that you want to share. But like, it caught fire, and all of these performances, the great screenplay, like, how does it feel, to produce something and fight for something and see it go so well at Sundance, like that's huge. But then now we're heading into award season and it's all over the place. Like it's being recognized. How does that feel?
I mean, it's great. It's validating for the work we put in and the work that Fran and all the actors put in over years. And like beyond that, it just helps bring awareness to the film. Like where you were just talking about, like the marketing campaign of this film ended up being that it's just a great film and it's on all these Critics' Choice Awards things. So people go, oh, let me watch that on iTunes site. Let me buy that on DVD when I walk by it. You know, like they're like, let me see what that's all about, what everyone's talking about. So the marketing campaign, in a sense, became a good small film that had, you know, the Sundance stamp of approval, and then all the Oscar top 10 lists and everything, and all the awards for our actors who just like were amazing every second of the film. And that's what that gave us. You know, it's like, you know, I've had friends like, I read this script and I was like, oh my God, this is going to get nominated for an Oscar for the script. You know, like that's the first thing I thought. And we showed a test screening to just friends and family. Almost 2 years ago now. And people came up to us and was like, this is going to win awards. And we're like, oh, wow. Okay. Like we were like just editing for 3 months. We didn't even, you know, we're too close to it. We're like, oh, cool. Like, but yeah, so it's a unique experience. It's amazing, but it's really just helping get the word out about the film. So we couldn't be happier for that.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely loved the film. As soon as I got the screener, I watched it twice. Because the first time you watch it, you're trying to figure everything out, right? And then the second time you watch it, you go back and you see how detailed each word is, each scene is, the back and forth between the moms, which hit me hard. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I have a daughter. She's had to go through this. This is, you know, real. And to see those two actresses together and having these moments. And I have to say, I love Jason Isaacs, but I have to say this is probably the most emotional I have seen him as an actor ever. You know, it's so real and so raw that every time he was on screen, I was just drawn into him. And so again, like the first time you see it, it's just mesmerizing and heartbreaking and also kind of joyous by the end at the same time, because you feel like you've gone through all of this emotion with them. And then, you know, there's some closure to it. And then you got to watch it again. So I definitely want to tell everyone, this is one that you need to watch more than once, because there's so many things to catch with the performances and the script. And you can see it like everywhere now. It's on Vudu, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on iTunes. So make sure you see this definitely. And I believe it's probably going to go back into theaters because most nominated films for the Oscars go back into theaters sometimes for a little bit. So if you have a chance to see it in the theater, if in your town it is there, you need to do it. I'm gushing about it because it's not often that we get a film like this that has a message, that starts a conversation. The script is amazing. The acting is amazing. And I do think this is one of those films that community centers and schools should adopt, because I think that it's something that families need to watch together with everything that's going on in the world. Is there anything else that you guys want to say about Mass before we head out today?
Just, yeah, like you were saying, please see it. I was talking to someone yesterday. They've seen it 11 times.
Yes.
5 times in the theater. And they know every, and this is a huge film buff person that I know personally. And it's how we got connected. It's how we met last year at Sundance. And I just can't believe, you know, the response we get. I had an old gentleman from Texas just find my phone number on the internet and call me after. And I was like, you know, it's just amazing. And if you can see it with a group of people, please do. If it's, I don't know if they'll be out in theaters again, hope so, but even if you get a small group of friends or family, because that's what we wanted to do. It starts a conversation when you see this with the group at the theater with people in your house. You talk for hours after the world premiere in October in New York. We just stood in the lobby for 2.5 hours and talked about this movie. Like, that's what it does. So that's what we hope you all get out of it. So thank you.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, congratulations on this amazing film. Good luck this award season, and I can't wait to see what you guys have coming next. So you are now producers that are on my list of, I'm going to check in. I may not look you up and call you on your cell phone, but I will keep my eye on the both of you. Thank you so much, and I do hope that you guys get a chance to come to Sundance next year, and you get to experience it exactly like you should. But they did such a great job this year making all of us feel included. I will be putting the links to Mass everywhere you can see it and all of their social media right here in the comments. Make sure you guys, if you have a comment about this film, I would love to continue the discussion with you. We're actually going to get a panel of people together on movies that make us, to have a conversation about this film with the community. So make sure you guys keep your eyes on What to See with Val and Movies That Make Us, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Dylan and JP.
Thank you so much.